Hey everybody, well, I thought I'd make another video here tonight. Irish is busy. I'm usually on the phone with her pretty much all day and night. She loves being on the call with me, and I love being on the call with her. So, and this is all we can do for now, obviously. But she's out. When I was there last year, I wanted to be able to try to make some sort of a income stream for her. So I invested money in some piezo Wi-Fi machines. If you Filipinos know what those are, it's Wi-Fi that you put on a business or in a busy neighborhood, and people put money in it. It's got a coin collection system, and you put money in it, and you get Wi-Fi from it. And so I wanted to make her an income stream for that, and I bought several of those machines last year, and we've got them set out around the town where she lives in there in Leyte. And about 2 or 3 Sundays a month, she'll go and she'll collect the money from these machines, and she's actually been able to sustain herself pretty much off of that money. I mean, I left her some money when I left, and I've given her a little bit since then, but not a lot. So anyhow, I think tonight what I want to talk about is traveling to the Philippines, and I want to talk about the things that I like about my wife, the things that I like about her culture and things of that nature. Down the road, I also want to talk about kind of some language differences we have. I don't want to say barriers; they're not really barriers. It's just you have to learn how to understand Filipinos when they talk, because they use words differently than we do. I'm not sure if it's I think American, like myself, and say someone from Britain or the UK, we'd probably use words about the same way, but Filipinos use words a little differently. So I want to talk about some of that, but that's later on. But anyhow, the first thing I want to talk about tonight is traveling to the Philippines. Okay, so if you travel to the Philippines, first of all, there's been a really big push this year to get real ID, right? You have to have real ID, blah, blah, blah. You can't travel without it, blah, blah, blah. And I was told you got to get real ID. Well, I started doing some research on it, and you don't have to have real ID to travel if you've got a passport. And you know what? If you're going to go to the Philippines, or if you're going to go anywhere overseas for that matter, you have to have a passport. So if you want to travel domestically in the United States, and even if you don't want to travel overseas, you don't need a real ID. Just take your passport with you. That's all you need. All you need is your driver's license, which is a picture ID, and a passport, which is another form of ID with a picture on it. A passport is something that's given to you by the government. It's a government issued permit to be able to travel, and it's legal all across the world. So you don't need real ID to travel. Another thing I want to talk about is how to get there. Man, it's tricky. Last year I used a service, and I bought my round trip ticket. I live in Missouri. There's no airports around me. I mean, I live in a very small rural area. The biggest town near me is about probably 2,500 people. The nearest big town that's even big is Springfield, Missouri. If you guys have ever heard of that, it's probably 250,000 people, maybe 300,000 people. And it's 100 miles away. That's the closest big town to me. And St. Louis is 5 hours that way. Kansas City is 5 hours that way. So I'm a long ways from anything. I could go to Springfield and fly out of Springfield Airport, but it'd be extra money. So what I do is I've got a friend who lives close to Kansas City. I drive to his house. He drives me to the airport. I leave my car at his house while I'm visiting my wife. And then he comes and picks me up when I come back. So it's not that big of a deal. But anyhow, last year when I flew to the Philippines, let me say this real quick. My wife may call. If she does, I'll go grab the phone real quick, and so she can be on the video with us, maybe talk a little bit. But she's kind of busy right now, and she's got a really poor signal where she's at. So I don't know what she's going to be able to do anyhow, but just wanted to throw that in real quick. But anyhow, last year I bought a round trip from Kansas City to Cebu. So I had to fly from Kansas City to Los Angeles, and then I had a delay there of like 4 or 5 hours. Then I had to fly from Los Angeles to Taiwan. I can't remember the name of that town now, a city in Taiwan. But anyway, I flew to Taiwan, and then I got on another airplane, which is Ava Airlines, and that's the airlines that's used by the Philippines. There's Philippine Airlines and there's Ava, so those are the two airlines that fly in out of the Philippines a lot. But I got on an Ava flight and flew to Cebu, and that's where I met Irish for the first time. But anyhow, so I did that last year. I spent about $1,500 on a round trip ticket. I did it through an agency, and they're called ASAP. If you call them, they seem to be fairly good people, but you really have to really push them because they're agents who try to sell you a ticket, and they want you to buy the highest price ticket you could buy. They want you to spend all the money you could spend. And I went around and around with them last year a little bit, and I mean, I bought a ticket fairly quickly with them, but I didn't buy the first thing they tried to sell me because it was like $1,800, $1,900. And I finally talked them down to around $1,500, and that included flight protection, luggage protection, and all that was about $1,500. This year when I called them back, they were talking, the first thing they started talking about was $1,800, blah, 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 and I'm like, I'm not spending $1,800, man, I'm not going to do it. And they're like, they can't make excuses, well, the airlines have gone up, the prices have gone up, whatever. So I finally, what I did, and I figured out this might work good for you guys if you live in the United States, is I told them, I said, look, I said, I want to fly from the West Coast to Cebu. So give me a price on a ticket from either Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Seattle. Give me a flight from those three places to Cebu. And I did not really didn't want to go out of Seattle because Seattle's it's just a real mess right now. There's a bunch of weird crap going on there and people doing weird stuff. So I didn't really want to go out of Seattle if I could help it. So I told myself I'd rather go out of either Los Angeles or San Francisco. Well, it ended up being San Francisco, and for a round trip ticket from San Francisco to Cebu and back was $800, $798. And then I paid $150. They charge you 20% of your ticket price for your flight protection. Okay, so that's if there's a delay or if you miss your flight or whatever, they can rebook you on another flight. I mean, you have to pay the difference, so it really doesn't benefit you that much. But you don't have to buy a full price ticket at least. You just have to pay the difference. So that's, it's not too bad. I did not get luggage protection this time. It was like another $50 and something like that. And I'm like, nah. I said I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, I don't see any reason why my luggage is going to get lost. If it happens, it happens. I guess I didn't buy it, but we'll see how it works out. I'll let you guys know when I get there. I am taking 2 suitcases. You're allowed to carry 1 carry-on bag and 1 personal item, which I always take a backpack as a personal item, and I put all my really heavy stuff. Like, I'll put like this year I'm taking some chocolate candy bars. I'll put those in my backpack. If I got heavy clothes like jeans or a belt or anything that's heavier, like maybe a heavy shirt or a jacket or something. Well, if it's a jacket, I wear it. But anything that's heavy, I'll put it in my carry-on luggage to try to keep my checked luggage as light as possible, because you can have 2 bags, a total of 62 linear inches. So you measure the depth by the width by the height, and you add all 3 of those together, and it has to equal less than 62 inches, and it has to weigh less than 50 pounds. If you're over 50 pounds, it's like $200. I mean, if you're like 52 pounds, they're going to charge you $200 extra. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep it 50 pounds and under, okay? And of course, you got to follow the TSA rules as far as you can't take anything bigger than 3.4 ounces. I guess this year now, if you want to go buy like a solid foods, like a sandwich, or bring a bag of chips or some snacks with you, TSA allows those through now, which is good because it's nice to be able to, especially if you're on a 13-hour long flight, which is from San Francisco to Taiwan is 12, 13-hour flight. It's good to have some snacks with you in case you get munchies between. I mean, they fed me going over there and coming back. They fed me 2 meals. So, and I mean, they're a pretty good sized meal. Like a full an entree, and some meat, and a little dessert, and a soda. Of course, if you ask the stewardesses if you can have a Diet Coke or a bottle of water, whatever. They bring it to you in between meals too. That's not a big deal, but still, it's nice to have whatever snacks you want to have, you know. So, and if you have children with you and you're traveling to the Philippines to meet your girlfriend, fiance, whatever, and you're taking your child with you, then you know it's good to have snacks for them too, right? Not a lot of people do that, but I've heard of people taking their kids over to the Philippines to meet their Filipina, you know, girlfriend or whatever, fiance. So it's not unusual. But anyhow, that's what I did. I used ASAP, and then what I did is I got online and I researched through. I think I ended up using Priceline, if I remember right. But there's Expedia, there's Kayak, there's all these different websites you can use. And I bought a round trip ticket from Kansas City to San Francisco and back. And of course, I had to coordinate my flights. So when I get to San Francisco, I made sure I had a lot of time. I got like 5 or 6 hours between when my flight lands in San Francisco and when my flight takes off from San Francisco to Cebu. And I also, when I bought the ticket for them, this is something else you guys need to think about. When I bought the ticket going to the Philippines from San Francisco, I told them, I said, I want a flight that leaves in the evening because it's a 13-hour long flight, and I figure, if I get on the plane, I take some pills with me, some sleeping pills, whatever. I can take a couple sleeping pills, drink a water or soda, and eventually with the flight going overseas, I'll fall asleep, and with any luck at all, I'll sleep, 6, 7, 8 hours, at least maybe 5. I'll get some pretty good sleep. And that way, when I get to, what I usually do is when I get to Taiwan, a lot of times there's a delay between your flight from Taiwan and Cebu. I think I got like 2 or 3 hours this time when I go there. I always pack like a change of clothes and some toothpaste and a toothbrush and some deodorant and a bottle of shampoo, things like that. And of course, it's got to be a small bottle. It's got to be 3.4 ounces or less. So a small bottle of shampoo, a small bottle of conditioner, and maybe a bottle. I don't think I'd use cologne. Take cologne because cologne is, if it's less than 3 ounces, I would. But anyhow, when I get to Taiwan, they have these really big bathrooms that are like, they got like a table there you can put your baby on and change the clothes and whatever. And I go in one of them really big bathrooms and I just open up my bag on there on the table and I just basically take a shower or bath in the sink. Oh, and I bring some wet wipes, those little wet wipe rags. And I'll just kind of wash myself off and clean myself up, and put on cologne and deodorant, brush my teeth, shampoo my hair in the sink and put conditioner on it in the sink, and then I throw a towel in the bag with me too as well, and I can dry myself off, and basically I'm fresh and clean, and I've slept on the plane on the way over there. So when I get to Cebu and I meet when you get to Cebu and you meet your girl, you're fresh, you smell good, you don't smell like you've been on. And literally it took me, when I flew last year, between all the delays between flights and all that, it took me roughly about 30 hours to get from here, from Kansas City to Cebu. So it was quite a long time. And by the time I got to Taiwan, I was definitely ready to take a shower because, like this year, I'm going to leave at 3 o'clock, and then I get to San Francisco. I got to fly to LA, catch another flight to San Francisco. Then when I get to San Francisco, I get there to like 5 o'clock at night, I think. But then I got like a 4-hour delay, and of course I'm gonna take a shower the night before because I don't want to have to worry about getting up and getting to the airport. I mean, I'm leaving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but with all this stuff that's going on with the government shutdown, I got to be there. I want to be there like 3 or 4 hours early, so I'm gonna take a shower the night before. So by the time I get to Taiwan, oh, there's my wife. Hold on, I'll be back in a second. Why is this phone not ringing? Can't see you, dear. Can't hear you either. So anyhow, what I was saying, well, yeah, she's collecting money for these piezo Wi-Fi machines, and sometimes they got good internet, and sometimes they got horrible internet. She's calling me on with internet from the piezo machine, so she's probably going to try to call me back, but sometimes it doesn't even work. But anyhow, what I was saying was, by the time I got to Taiwan, it had been, a day and a half since I had a shower, and I was, in an airport, and I was walking around, and I was sitting in an airplane with a bunch of other stinky people, and, I just felt grungy, and I didn't want to go to Cebu and meet my girl and, feel that way. So, like I said, take an extra change of clothes with you, take some toiletry items with you, take a towel with you, socks and underwear, don't forget all that stuff, some cologne or whatever, and, go in the bathroom, when you have them make your flight, have them give you like a 2-hour. Well, you want a long window anyhow when you get to Taiwan, because the airport there is huge, and I had to walk, I'd say probably for at least 30 minutes to get to my next flight. So it's not like you're just going to get off one plane and go down the aisleway there and get on another plane. I had to walk a long ways to get to it. So I'm glad that I took that time, but I knew I was getting close to it. That's when I found that bathroom and went in there. But make sure you get a time between your flights of like 2 or 3 hours, so you have time to, number one, make it to your next plane, but number two, go in the bathroom, change your clothes, freshen up, and kind of clean yourself up. And another piece of advice I'll give you guys on traveling. So what I did last year when I traveled, I'm going to do it again this year. The morning I got up to leave and get on the plane, I put on, I think, 4 shirts and 3 pairs of pants and a pair of shorts underneath all the pants. So I was kind of bulked up a little bit, and I took a jacket over with me, a motorcycle riding jacket. So I carried that, I put that on as well. But of course, once you land the plane, you're able to get off, take your jacket off and put it in the overhead bin. Hi, honey. I'm making a video. Hold on, guys. Not very good. So anyhow, I had like 4 shirts on, 3 pairs of pants, a pair of swim trunks on underneath all that, and I wore all my jeans on myself, and then I had a couple pairs of jeans in my carry-on bag too. So that way my suitcase was a lot lighter, and I took a bunch of clothes over there for her because she didn't have a whole lot when I met her. So I bought her a whole bunch of clothes. And one suitcase was completely full of clothes for her. The other suitcase, I had like maybe 4 days to change the clothes in there, and then all the rest of it was her stuff for her because I wanted her to have a lot of stuff. So, but anyhow, it saved me a lot of weight on having to meet the 50-pound requirement, because jeans are really heavy. My shirts weren't that heavy, but still. It was funny, one of my bags was 49 pounds, 48 pounds, and the other one was exactly 50 pounds, 50.0 pounds. I couldn't believe it when they weighed it at the airport. I was like, holy crap. But here's another tip. So when you do that, what I did is I went and I stood on my scale in my bathroom and I weighed myself, and I wrote that down, and then I held the suitcase in my hand and I weighed myself again and I wrote that down. Then you just subtract it, and you got a fairly rough idea of how much your bag weighs. As long as you get it really close to 50 pounds, maybe a pound or 2 less, then you're probably good. If you're a little, but you want to leave a little room in your carry-on bag in case you're over, because you can dig through your suitcase and take some things out and put them in your carry-on bag, and then meet the weight requirements. Because like I said, you don't want to go over 50 pounds, because even if you're 2 pounds over, they're going to charge like $200 extra. It's crazy. So you don't want to spend all that money. So now when I got to Taiwan, like I said, I went in the bathroom and cleaned up. I did leave all my clothes on because I didn't have any place to put them. My bags were full. I just took a chance, but like I said, I weighed my stuff ahead of time, and I got really lucky. So when she picked me up at the airport, I was wearing all them clothes, and when we got to our room, our condo, I actually made a video of me taking off all them clothes, and it's on our page, on our YouTube channel. If you guys look on it, you'll see there's a video of me on there taking off all these clothes that I wore. But underneath all that, I had fresh, clean underwear on, clean socks, and I smelled good, and my hair was looking nice, and I was fresh and clean. I had fresh breath. So I brushed my teeth and all that. I took a little bottle of Listerine with me too, so I could, take a swig of that and spit it out in the sink. And of course, when I got to Cebu, I went in the bathroom and did it again just to make sure I had fresh breath when I met her. Because one thing you need to understand about Filipinos, okay? Filipinos are very clean people for the most part. I mean, there's some of them aren't that way. Certain areas of the country that probably aren't that way, but most Filipinos are very clean people, okay? Especially if they're young girls, young ladies. They tend to be very clean because they want to, they care about their hygiene, they care about themselves. They don't want people to think badly of them. They want people to look down on them. So they're very clean people. So when you meet your girl in the airport, you don't want to look like you've been on the flight for the last 18 hours, even though you have. And you don't want to have BO or bad breath or all that. So, and you don't want to wear, crappy clothes. You want to look nice, a nice button-up shirt, a nice pair of jeans or slacks, and some nice shoes. Look good. I actually wore boots, but they were brand new boots. But I wore those because I knew we'd be riding on a motorcycle a lot when I was over there, and so I took a pair of sandals with me to wear to the beach. But I wore my boots because they're heavy. And I knew if I put them in my bag, they'd weigh my bag down, so I wore them. But they were brand new, so they looked fine. But she was very happy with me when she saw me in the airport because I was fresh and clean. It looked like I just like came out of the shower. Which, I mean, it's a 2-hour flight from Taiwan to Cebu, so basically I did. I was on the plane for a couple hours because the whole time I was just excited as heck to see her. So there's a few tips for you guys on traveling. When you get, now I did not know this, so this is something else you guys can think about. When you get to Cebu, when you have to go through their customs department, and you have to show them your passport, and they give you a 30-day, I think a 29 or 30-day stamp on your passport, and you have to, if you're going to stay longer than 30 days, you have to go to the local immigration office and pay them money to get an extension on your visa, and you can extend it. From what I understand, I haven't done it myself. What I understand, you can extend it like up to a year or even longer than that. But I will tell you this: I stayed there for 5 months last year, and I think the second or third time I went, I paid for 2 months at a time, and it was like 14,000 pesos, and that sounds like a lot of money, which it is. It was like, I'm about to say, $250, something like that, American money. I mean, I don't have a calculator in front of me, so I don't know exactly what it is. But it was quite a bit of money to have to extend it for 2 months. So expect when you go to the immigration office to pay a lot of money, because it's not cheap. The first time it was like, I want to say 8,000, and then it was, I think, 14,000 the second time for 2 months. And here's the bad thing about it. My stamp expired like 2 weeks or a week and a half before I was going to leave and come back home. So I had to go back to the immigration office one more time, and they're like, well, you got to pay for a whole month. I'm like, I'm only going to be here for another week. And actually, I'm only going to be in her town for a week because I'm going to go to Cebu and just basically stay at the airport. So I make sure I got my flight. I don't miss my flight leaving town. And I said, I mean, you're going to make me pay for an entire month just to be here for another week? Yep. So if you're going to stay, you want to try to plan your stay to where you can stay. What I want to say, you want to try to plan your stay where you stay 30 days at a time. So you want to plan your time when you come back to be right at the end of your 30 days. Or what you can do, like what I'm doing this year, I'm going to the Philippines on the 20th of November. So I'm going to have to pay for 30 days. So on the 20th of December, and I'm not coming back till March 31st. So at the end of March, I'm going to have that little gap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go like a little bit early and try to get my stamp done, because I'll go before Christmas and get my stamp done for. Well, actually, I need to tell you guys something. I'm not going to do that. I'll go in January and get my stamp done, but I'll go before the 20th. So when my 30 days is out, then it'll not it'll give me a little more time, so to speak. And hopefully I'll have to pay less in the end. I don't know. But anyhow, what I was going to tell you guys is when you go through immigration, if you ask them at the airport, if you tell them, I'm going to be in the Philippines longer than 30 days, I'd like to request an additional 29-day or 30-day extension. I think it's 29 days. If you ask them for that, I don't know what the requirements are, or if the guy, maybe he likes you or doesn't like you, or maybe he's having a good day or a bad day. I don't know what you have to do to get that, but they are able to grant you an additional, from what I understand, an additional 29 or 30 days on top of the 29 or 30 days they give you when you get there. So you can actually get almost 2 months for free if you ask for it, but I didn't know that. So this year when I go, I'm going to ask for that, and we'll see if that works. There's another thing, I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up and I'll have to tell you guys in another video. But if you're married, which I am now, I'm married to her, you can ask for this something privilege. It starts with a B. It's something privilege. It's a really long name. And if you're married, they can sometimes grant that to you. And that gives you up to a year of time in the Philippines of being able to stay there with your wife. But from what I understand with that, I think you have to actually be traveling with your wife. But again, they may or may not grant that to you. You can ask. And I will tell you this, just between you and me, a lot of Filipinos a lot of people in the Philippines, a little bit of cash under the table, so to speak. They'll sometimes do things that maybe nefariously, so to speak. Maybe if you offer a little bit of cash, you might be able to get that privilege done anyhow. I don't know. I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm going to go there and I'm going to talk to them about what I can do to get as much time as I can. And I don't know if that's going to work or not, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So that's getting there. Once you're there, you have to either take a taxi in Cebu, or if you're not going very far, you can take what's called a tricycle, and they have two different types of tricycles. They have tricycles that are actually bicycles with like an extra seat welded onto them that you ride in, but most of the time it's a motorcycle with an extra seat. They build this whole framework around a motorcycle, and I've seen them. You could actually put one person on the back of the motorcycle, and then you've got a seat next to the motorcycle you put people in, and then you've got a seat on the back side of that facing backwards you can put people in. And I've even seen people like standing on the footboards and holding on to all the framework. Well, I've seen those things carrying like 8 or 10 people. It's crazy. So, and the more people are on them, the cheaper it is. But here's another tip I'll give you guys. When you get to Cebu, or you get to Manila, or wherever you're going to land at, and you meet your girl, anytime you go anywhere, I don't care if it's to get a taxi, to rent a motorcycle, to get a room in a hotel, to go to like a street vendor and get some food, you need to stand back and tell your girl, look, you need to go up there and negotiate with them and tell them, hey, I want to rent a motorcycle, or I need to go from here to there, and there's two of us, me and my friend, and what's the fee, and have them negotiate. And then once your girl agrees on a price with the taxi driver or the motorcycle driver or whatever you're doing, then you step up and ride, because as soon as they see foreigner, automatically the price goes up. Automatically. Sometimes the price doubles. So you never know what's going to happen with it. Hold on a second. Why are you at home? I can't hear you. Your microphone's off. Hello? You turn it off.
Because in Santa Maria, when we go in there after we harvested my dad's machine, my friend's machine, and we go in there, the owner in there, I already told them that we're going to harvest, but they're not there because there's an emergency about their kid. I don't know what's going on, but there's a lady there outside, a neighbor, told us that we cannot harvest because they're not there. I already told them, but But did we leave because it's emergency? That's what they were told.
Okay, so yeah, she's talking to me about these machines.
They were told
Hold on, Irish. Hold on, guys. I'm just gonna pause the video. It's gonna take a minute. Okay, I'm back. Her call dropped. She may call me back, she may not, but she's going to be on a motorcycle. If she does, so I won't be able to hear her. But anyhow, so what I was saying was, once you get there, you want to have your girl go negotiate. I will tell you an instance that really upset me. And we found a taxi driver that we felt like we could trust. So every time we needed to go somewhere, we called him and had him come and haul us wherever we needed to go. But then one day he had like a funeral to go to or something, and he sent one of his co-workers or whatever to help us. And we needed to go like 2 or 3 different places over a 2 or 3 day period. And he helped us. The first couple times he helped us, he charged us, a little bit of money. Well, then we had to change hotels because we went from condos. We went from one condo to another, and it took us like 15 minutes to get there, which is a long time in Cebu because we only went like maybe 6 miles, maybe 12 kilometers, 15 kilometers. It wasn't very far. Like literally like 6-7 miles from one condo to the other. But it took us about 15 or 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Dang it, she's calling me back. Hold on. Come on. I don't know why this phone. It didn't take us very long, and when we got there, he demanded that we pay him 1,500 pesos, which is like, normally we were paying like $5-6 for a long taxi ride and like a couple dollars for a short one. She's not picking up because she's driving. But anyhow, he charged us like 1,500 pesos and insisted that we pay it. And 1,500 pesos is like $25. And he knew that was the last time we were going to need him. And it really made me mad. I paid him, but if they do that to you, number one, you need to negotiate up front. Okay, have your girl talk to them while especially when it comes to taxis, stand around the corner where they can't see you, and have your girl go out on the curb and hail a taxi, and have her say, "Hey, I need to go from here to here. I got my friend. They're getting a bag or whatever, getting something. They'll be here in a minute. How much you charge to take 2 people from here to there?" And once he gives you a price, you make sure he gives you the price up front. And then unless they got a meter, but if they got a meter, it's usually very honest because they're running off a meter, and there are taxi laws in Cebu. So if they're running off a meter, then they have to charge you what the meter says. But it's usually a very fair price. But if they're not running off a meter and they're like, well, this is my last call of the day or whatever, if you pay me cash, I'll do this, whatever. Just make sure that they give you a price up front before you let the taxi driver see you, because if he sees you, the price is going to double, I promise you. So just remember that. And if you throw luggage in the trunk, even if it's just a couple bags, they're like, oh, you got to pay me an extra like 500 pesos. And 500 pesos is like $2.50 to drive, 5 miles to the next hotel or wherever you're going. It's like, okay, you're going to take me there anyhow. What difference does it make if I got a 20 or 30 pound bag in the trunk of the car? You're not going to spend another $5 worth of gas. You're going to spend, maybe another 20 cents or 50 cents worth of gas. But, just plan on that. The more crap you put in the trunk, the more money they want you to pay. So anyhow, that's how that works. What else was I going to say? Let's see. Dadgummit, I was thinking about it. There's a lot of cool things to do and see in Cebu. Or I've never been to Manila. From what I've heard about Manila, if you're planning on traveling there the first time, depending on where your girl's from, my wife was not from Cebu. She had to actually travel across the ocean, part of the ocean, to get to Cebu. But if your girl is not from the Cebu area or the Manila area, they're going to have to travel there unless you fly to another different place. And she's trying to call me again, but she's probably not going to get through. But they have to travel, usually by ocean jet, or that's what they call it. They call it an ocean jet. It's a very fast boat. Hold on a second. I can't hear you, honey. You're on your motorcycle.
I'm sorry, the data is very slow. It's coming up.
Okay, call me when you get to your next place.
We're not going yet for now because we're going to stop in my grandmother's grave.
Okay, that's fine.
My grandmother's grave. There's a good
Okay.
grave. I don't want grandpa.
Okay, I can't see you. Call me later, honey.
Yes, I'll call you later.
All right, love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wait for me, okay?
Yes, honey, I'm making a video for our channel. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. See you later.
Okay, so she's at the graveyard visiting her relatives' graves, because today's the day after Halloween there, November 1st, is called All Souls Day in the Philippines. All Souls Day, so they have a little celebration. A lot of times people go to visit the graves of their ancestors and pay their respects and all that. So that's what she's doing. Man, I was trying to think of what I was trying to say. I thought of something I wanted to tell you guys about traveling. Can't remember what it was now, but anyhow, oh yeah, I know what I was talking about. So she had to travel from another island over to Cebu to meet me in Cebu. Now, my advice to you, again, I've never been to Manila. I'm not trying to bash it, but from what I've read online, there's a lot of crime there. It's a huge, like 10 or 20 million people there, and there's a lot of theft there. There's a lot of probably pickpockets and scammers. If you don't know your way around Manila, it's probably not a good idea to get off an airplane with a bunch of money in your pocket and go around town. You don't know what you're doing. Cebu is a very nice, clean city. It's not spotless. There's areas that are kind of slummy and bad, but we were there for all told last year when I went there, we were there for like a week and a half when I first flew there, and then we were there for like a week before I left. So we were there for 2.5, 3 weeks altogether, and it's not a bad town to get around in. They got some decent malls and stuff, and driving a taxi. When you fly into Cebu, you fly into Mactan Island, which is an island separate from Cebu, that is where the airport is, and we stayed on Mactan Island. So if you want to go across the river or across the bay into Cebu itself, I think we had to go down to the U.S. Customs and Immigration Office when I first got there, because when you first go, that's another thing you got to do. You need to go to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Office and let them know you're there. You want to let them know you're there because, number one, if there's a problem, they're aware that you're there and they have a way to contact you. But also, you need to let them know you're there, so if you have anything you need, then you can go back to them and you can say, hey, and they know who you are and whatever, they can get you the help you need. So, and also I think they want you to register, so they're just aware of the fact that you're there. So I had to go there and register that. I think it only cost I want to say, for her and I both to go down to the immigration office and come back, it was like a $10 tax on it. It wasn't that expensive. So it wasn't bad. And food there is really pretty cheap. That's what I want to tell you guys. Food there is really kind of cheap. The street vendors, you got to be very careful before you go up to a street vendor. When you go to a street vendor, number one, the first thing you want to look at is make sure they're wearing gloves, the plastic gloves as they're making the food, because you may not be. Let me get a drink here. You probably aren't aware of this, and it's really pretty disgusting. But over there, people don't use toilet paper. Okay, when they go to they call it a CR. CR means comfort room. Okay, when they go to the CR or the bathroom and they go poop, they take this spray. If they've got it, they take a spray wand that's like a little miniature shower head, a bidet, so to speak, and they spray down there off, and then they get soap on their hand and water, and they lather their hand up, reach down there and scrub their butthole with their hand, and then they're supposed to like rinse their hands off and spray their butthole off, and then they're supposed to wash their hands a second time and make sure all them germs are off there. Well, a lot of times people don't. And I can tell you, my wife got sick. I wasn't with her. This was before I came to see her. She ate at a street vendor, and she got food poisoning from it because, I think it's probably because either A, they had spoiled food, or B, they didn't wash their hands. So number one, if you're going to go to a street vendor and eat their food, make sure, first of all, that they are wearing gloves as they fix your food. If they don't, walk away. Number two, you want to make sure that their area is clean. There's a lot of places in Cebu where people have they'll have like a chicken hanging on a string out in front of their thing, or they'll have like pieces of pork just hanging off of their rack, their cooking rack, and there's flies buzzing around there, landing on it. And you know, if they don't keep that area clean, or you know, they should keep their meat at least like under a towel or put away, preferably in a cooler somewhere, and out of the sight of insects. So you got to be careful. I mean, I'm not saying that all street vendors are bad, because I've eaten street vendor food there, and actually some of it's pretty good, and it's usually very cheap. So you know, you just use a little common sense. You know, if you walk up there and you look and you see the place, the cart or whatever he's using is not very clean, and he's wearing dirty clothes, and his hair is greasy, and you know, you can just tell that they don't take very good care of themselves, you're probably better off to go to the next one. You know, but if they look clean and you know they care about, you know, you watch them as they're working, they're constantly cleaning up and you know, making sure everything looks nice, then you're probably going to be okay there. But the biggest thing is make sure that we're wearing those gloves, because the last thing you want is somebody going poop in a CR and not having any toilet paper and washing their butt with their hand and then not cleaning their hands, and you know, you're getting that in your food. It's disgusting. Anyhow, it just makes me sick to think about it. Let me get another drink. So that's a couple things you need to be aware of. Oh, that reminded me of something else. Before you go, especially if you live in America like I do, I don't know about other countries, but if you live in America, you need to go to your doctor, or in my case, I went to like the county health clinic, because you can get shots there a lot cheaper. I went there just last week, and I got a tetanus shot, I got a hepatitis A and a hepatitis B shot, and I got a flu shot. So I got 4 shots. I got 2 in each arm. Flu shot, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and tetanus. So one other thing that they recommend you to get, what's that called? Shoot. A rabies shot, because when you go over there, you will find out there are feral dogs and cats running everywhere. I mean literally thousands of them. There's no animal control over there. There's no spade or neutering, and every animal that runs around, there's very few animals that actually have owners. Probably 90 or 95% of the animals you see, their cats and dogs, are wild animals. They're not tame. Now they'll come up and they'll beg you for food, but you shouldn't try to pet them or grab them or touch them, because rabies is common over there. I was over there for 5 months. I never saw any animals with rabies, and I did not get a rabies shot because where I was at, I felt safe. But if you're in like a slum area of a city, if you're someone who wants to do like vlogging, or you know, walk around and film different parts of a city, and you're going to these really like just really low class areas where people literally just throw all their trash on the ground right in front of their house, and they poop and pee out in the street. I mean, and don't laugh at me, it happens. It's these really bad areas. Get a tetanus shot for sure, but you know, you might want to consider a rabies shot. And there's an MMR. Okay, you definitely want to get an MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella. I did not need mine because I got one last year and it's still good, so I did not get one. But you want to get an MMR before you go over there for sure. I will tell you that about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, my wife called me up one day and she's like, my sister wants me to come out and take care of her son because he's sick. He's got a fever and he's sick, and she has to work, and she wanted me to take care of him. So she went out there and she stayed there for like 2 or 3 days taking care of her little nephew. Well, his fever turned into spots on him, and I told her, I said, that's not, he doesn't have the flu. I said, that's either the mumps or the measles. And sure enough, he had the measles, and over there they don't get shots the way they should. She got some shots when she was younger, but she didn't get all of them. She only got part of them. So she got measles, and her sister got measles, and her whole family ended up getting measles. So measles is the thing over there. Okay, it's basically eradicated in the United States because everybody gets a measles shot when they're kids. They get more than one, and basically you're immune from it after that. But she got the measles, and in the area where she's at now, there's an epidemic of the measles going around. So I asked my doctor when I went there last week, I said, hey, do I need another MMR shot? And they looked on my chart and they said, no, you got one last year. It's good for, I think, like 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. Or maybe that's tetanus, I don't know. But anyhow, it's good for a long time. Now, I think it's 3 years. They said, you're fine, you should be good. You still got the antibodies in your body. You shouldn't get measles when you go on. Okay, just want to be sure. But there's a couple other shots that I can't remember what they are, but they're you got to get them from the infectious disease hospital or clinic, and because you're traveling overseas and they're not required, insurance doesn't cover them, and it was like $200 or $225 for an office visit, and then another $150 for the shot. And I'm like, nope, forget it. I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to pay that kind of money. I'll take my chances. One of them is eating food that's been contaminated with feces from either rats or people not washing their hands, like I just said. I can't remember what the shop's for, but anyhow, it's not that big of a deal. But if you look it up, you want to make sure you do your research before you go over there and see what shots you're required to have. I know for sure you want to get a tetanus, hepatitis A, hepatitis B. You want to get a tetanus shot. You want to get a flu shot. You want to get an MMR if you haven't had one of those recently. Those are all available at your local doctor's office, at a local clinic. But any of the other shots, just look it up. One thing they did say was like yellow fever or Asian flu. And again, that was one of those you got to go to the infectious disease place, and it was a crazy price. I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay for that. It's not prevalent in the Philippines. Yellow fever is prevalent in other Asian countries. So if you travel to like Indonesia or India or I think Taiwan or what's the other place? Dadgummit. Cambodia, places like that. I think they want you to get a yellow fever shot. Now I will say this: there are the one I can't think of the name of it. It's caused from a mosquito bite. But the weird thing is, and I'm not sure why it is this way. Well, I'll tell you my theory. But the weird thing is when I was over in the Philippines last year, I was over there for 121 days. And I can count literally, and I'm not making this up, okay? I can count literally on one hand the days that I was there that it didn't rain. Almost every single day, you'll wake up in the morning and the sun will be shining, it'll look nice. The island that we were on was Leyte. She was on the eastern side of Leyte. Well, the western side, of course, as the sun goes across the sky into the west, it starts shining on the Pacific Ocean, and all that moisture starts evaporating into the clouds, and everything moves from west to east. Well, there's mountains in the middle of Leyte, so as those clouds come over those mountains, almost every afternoon around 1 or 2 o'clock it would rain. Sometimes it'd rain for 10 minutes, sometimes it'd downpour for 10 minutes. Sometimes it would downpour for 3 hours. It's different every day. But literally almost every single day it would rain. So and there was water everywhere. Everything was wet all the time. You go out in the woods, in the jungle areas out there, everything's wet. Now I never went out in the jungle areas. There may be a lot of mosquitoes out there, but where I was at, in the small town she lived in, and I mean her family lives in the province area, so we didn't go into the forest itself, but we went around that area, and I don't ever recall seeing a mosquito. If there were any, I don't even recall getting a mosquito bite, to tell you the truth. And my theory behind that is, I think the reason is because there's a lot of the Philippine Islands. A lot of them are volcanic rock that came from volcanoes, and I think probably there's a lot of like caves and nooks and crannies. And I got a feeling that there's a lot of bats around the Philippines. And another weird thing is I never saw hardly any birds. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just because they're an island and birds have never been introduced there. But I never even really saw seagulls that much. I don't even know if I ever saw any at all, except maybe on the island of Cebu, where the bigger city is. But on her island, I don't ever even recall seeing that many birds. But I think a lot of the reason why there aren't very many mosquitoes is because there's probably billions and billions of bats that come out every night and eat them all. I guess. I don't know. But I literally, on Leyte, and we traveled from one side of Leyte to the other. And we traveled a lot. We had to go from her town over to Tacloban, which was a 2.5 hour drive. It's only about 30 kilometers, 35, 40 kilometers. But I take it back. It was a 4 hour drive because the traffic is so bad over there and the roads are so bad. And then we went to another town called Ormoc, which was only about 30 kilometers away, but it was a 2 to 2.5 hour drive to get there because traffic is so bad and the roads are so bad. And that's another thing. If you're going to go anywhere in Cebu, or not in Cebu, in the Philippines, if you're going to go anywhere while you're there, you need to plan on not getting there in a hurry. You're not going to go 70 miles an hour like you do in the United States or in the UK or in Germany. You're not going to go 70, 80 miles, 90 miles an hour. You're going to go, maybe if you're lucky, 30, 40 miles an hour at the top. There'll be times when you're going 15, 20 miles an hour, and you may be going 15 or 20 miles an hour for 10 kilometers because you're going down this road, this mountain windy road that's just like this constantly all the time, and you can't get up any speed, and you can't see around the next corner, and of course in the afternoon it's pouring rain. I bought a motorcycle when I went over there. I will tell you guys this, you got to negotiate, okay? You got to be smart about it. What you should do is have your girl get on Facebook Marketplace, and have her find a motorcycle and negotiate a price on one, because they think they're selling it to a Filipino person, so they're going to get a better price. And when you go there, you give them cash, and they're probably going to be mad because, like, oh, you're a foreigner and you're buying this motorcycle from me for, if I'd known you were a foreigner, I'd have charged you another 10,000 pesos or 20,000 pesos for this motorcycle. So get your girl to get on there and negotiate for you, and then go buy the motorcycle. If you're going to rent something, get online and have your girl do it for you. Have your girl call the rental place. Like say, for instance, in Cebu, you can rent motorcycles. If you want to rent a motorcycle, have your girl call the motorcycle rental place. Yeah, I want to rent a motorcycle. What do you charge me to rent a motorcycle for a week? And they give her a price and ask the name of the person who did it. And then when you get there, have a taxi take you and drop you off a little ways away from there. Look on Google Maps and find like a restaurant or something that's like a half a block away, and have the taxi driver drop you off there. Then have your girl walk down to the rental place and have her give her the money and have her rent the motorcycle and sign the agreement, and then call you, and then you walk down and get on the motorcycle. When they see it, they're probably going to be mad at you, but hey, you got to do what you got to do to save money, right? So anyhow, if you're going to go anywhere in Cebu, or in the Philippines, number one, you got to be very careful where you go. You're not going to go fast. There was a couple times I rented a small motorcycle. They have bigger motorcycles. I bought a small motorcycle. I'll tell you guys, I bought a 2024 motorcycle that had, I want to say around 20,000, no, it wasn't even that much. It was like 3,500 kilometers on it, which is like 1,500 miles. It was literally brand new. I paid $650 for it, and that's American cash. It was like 40-some thousand pesos. But it was like literally like I literally paid like $650 for a brand new motorcycle. And when you if you're there for a long time, every time you go somewhere, you got to pay somebody. That all adds up over time. It adds up to a lot of money. So I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to buy a motorcycle. I'm going to take really good care of it, keep it clean, keep it nice. And if it needs something done, while I was there, I had brand new tires put on it. I had maintenance done to it that needed to be done. I put upgrades on it to make it a better motorcycle. But when I leave there, when she comes here, I can sell that thing and probably, even though it's got more miles on it, because I keep it clean and nice, I can sell it probably for almost what I paid for it. So, you know, as long as you take care of it, you can do that. But, you know, if you don't want to do that, then if you're not going to be there that long, then just pay the taxis or the tricycles to take you around. But, you know, you're not going to go anywhere in a hurry. If you want to travel a long distance, like say from Cebu, you want to go way down to southern Cebu to a landmark down there, or a waterfall, or a cave, or whatever, an ocean beach somewhere on the other side of the island, you need to plan on taking all day to get there, because you're going to leave Cebu. The bus driver is going to be driving 20, 30, 40 miles an hour at the fastest. Probably not even very much 40 miles an hour, because there's very few very straight roads that go, and if they go straight, they're gonna get up their speed for 20, 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour for like maybe 4 or 5 kilometers. Then it's going to go back to winding roads again, and you know, you're back to 20, 25, 30 miles an hour. So it's going to take you all day to get there. And the other bad thing is, they're going to stop every 5 or 10 kilometers. They're going to stop at this certain area where they stop, and they're going to let people off and pick people up. So again, it's going to take you a long time to get there. Don't get in a hurry. Don't think I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to go down this place, and I'm going to spend 8 hours there and see this beautiful stuff and all this scenery. Then I'm going to come back that night. No, you're going to take 4 hours to get there. You're not going to get there in an hour and a half. So you need to plan on that. What else can I tell you about traveling there? The police, if you do rent a motorcycle or buy a motorcycle, I mean, like I did, if it's got current license, if you want to buy one, I'll talk about that later, because that's like a whole different deal. The motorcycle that I bought, we still don't legally own it. The person that sold it to me, they didn't give me the papers that I needed. I didn't know that when I bought it. I'll talk about that later. But it did have tags on it that were good until 2026, next year. So as long as it's got good tags on it, you can drive it, carry your paperwork with you, and they have what's called LTO checkpoints, and they'll have like guys with machine guns there. I mean, like freaking M16s or AR-15s, and they'll be standing there checking people as you go from one province to another. It's not always that way, but a lot of times it is. And they'll also have what's called a police checkpoint, where they have rules there where you have to wear a helmet. Almost nobody does, and to me it's crazy. And this I gotta tell you guys this: when you go around the Philippines, look and see how many people you see on a motorcycle. The most people I ever saw on a motorcycle, I'm talking 1-2-wheel motorcycle, not a tricycle, not anything. The only thing they did is when they buy a motorcycle, they'll weld this like framework on the back, and they'll extend the back. They'll extend the seat out another like foot. And I'm not lying to you guys. There was 8 people on a 2-wheel motorcycle. There was 4 adults, and then 3 of the adults were holding children on their lap, and there was a young baby, literally, I mean, probably 1 or 2 years old, sitting on the gas tank, holding onto the handlebars, and her dad had his hands around her riding the bike. I'm not kidding you. There was 8 people on one motorcycle. It is crazy, and none of them had helmets on. These little kids, you know, if you get in a wreck and your baby hits their head on the concrete, they're going to kill them. And you got to live with that for the rest of your life. But they don't even put helmets on their little kids. Nobody does. It's crazy. I bought helmets off Amazon. You might want to do this. I bought helmets off Amazon, and I switched my Amazon address to her address in the Philippines, and they will tell you what you can buy on Amazon and have it shipped there. I bought motorcycle helmets, and one for her and one for me, and had them shipped to her address before I ever got there. And I told her, when you come to Cebu, you bring those helmets with you, because I'm not going to ride around on a motorcycle without having a helmet on. So she bought them with her, and once I bought a motorcycle there in Cebu, then we always wore our helmets, because This is another thing you need to know. Okay, this is very important. Very important. In the Philippines, if you want a driver's license, in America, if you want a driver's license, you got to go read a book, you got to study a book, you got to go take a written test, you got to go take an eye test, you got to pass all that, and if you pass all that, then you got to go take a driving test. Okay, and if you fail any of those, you got to meet, and it's like you got to meet like an 80 or 85% or higher score to pass each one. If you don't get that high of a score, you got to come back and retest. And you can do it as many times as you want, but you got to meet that requirement before you can get a license. Over there, if you need a driver's license, you pay somebody a bribe and you get a driver's license. You don't. I mean, they'll tell you that you need to do this, this, and this to get it, but if you pay somebody a bribe, they'll walk you through all of the tests that you have to take and teach you everything you need to know. And I'm not going to say everything I need and I know about it because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But believe me, you are guaranteed to pass all the tests. Just put it that way. And I would say after being there for 5 months last year, I'd say probably about 98% of the people on the road have gotten their driver's license that way. Either that or they drive an unlicensed bike without a license. And the LTO or the police department, they set up these roadblocks. And I think I mentioned this the last time I talked to you guys, but when we had to go to Tacloban on the other side of the island she lives on, and when we were coming back, all of a sudden there was like motorcycles on both sides of the road, just like dozens of them, just people just sitting there on their bikes, just sitting there like this, just kind of kicking back and talking. And I'm like, why are all these motorcycles here? What's going on? So we pulled on the side of the road because I thought maybe there was a wreck up ahead, or there was some bad thing going on up ahead. And traffic was stopped. Well, traffic was stopped because it was a police checkpoint. So what we found out is in the Philippines, you're required to wear a helmet when you ride a motorcycle, and you're required to have a license, and you're required to have your motorcycle legally licensed, and you're required to have paperwork on it. But a lot of people, probably more than 80% of the people on the road, do not have. They don't wear helmets. They don't have a license. They drive motorcycles that are illegal. Some of them may not even own them. I'm not saying that they got them some illegal way, but maybe they did. I don't know. But when they have a checkpoint like that, they just pull on the side of the road and sit there until the checkpoint goes away, and then they keep going down the road. And it's weird. But we found out that they were looking for helmets, and my motorcycle, when I bought it, it had 2026 tags on it, and I had all the paperwork with me from when I bought it. So they did not pull me over at that checkpoint because we had helmets on. But at other checkpoints, they will pull you over and they want to see your paperwork. But I never got in trouble for having a motorcycle, even though it wasn't in my name yet. It was legally licensed and I had the paperwork proving I bought it. They let me go. Now my wife tells me it's because I'm a foreigner, and if I was a foreigner, they wouldn't do that. They would rake me over the coals, which maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But as a foreigner, if you're going over there, as long as you have the paperwork with you that shows you bought the motorcycle has license plates on it that are registered that bike, and they're not expired, you can get away with riding that motorcycle with your American driver's license. Okay, you can get away with it. Now you can go to the LTO, which I remember what LTO stands for. I don't know, something license territory office. So I don't know what it is, but anyhow, you can go to the LTO and they'll give you, if you show them your United States driver's license, they'll issue you like a temporary Filipino driver's license that you can use. But I never did that. I didn't even know you could do it. So if I got pulled over, I just showed them my American driver's license. If they wanted to see it, they saw my paperwork for my bike, and they saw my driver's license, they let me go. They didn't care. They look at foreigners different because we're an income source for them, and I think they're probably told, hey, look, you don't need to give these guys a bunch of harassment because they're here, they're guests, they're spending money, they're boosting the economy of the Philippines. Leave them alone. I think it's basically what they're told, and that's probably true. But you need to understand that if 80% or more of the people over there that are Filipino national people are on a motorcycle and they're riding it and they paid a bribe or whatever, or maybe they're just driving without a license, they have no clue what they're doing. And they will pull out in front of you, They will stop right in front of you. They will. I've seen a truck driving down the road in front of me, and for no reason at all, they'll just pull to the side of the road, and they won't even look out their window or look in the mirror. They'll just make a U-turn right in front of you and go back the other way. You got to have your head on a swivel all the time. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to ride around in those tricycles, because especially in the city, because there's thousands of them everywhere, and people are constantly cutting people off. Pedestrians just walk right out in front of you. It's very, very dangerous. I will say this: probably about 85 to, and I'm not exaggerating here, probably about 85% of the time, and I mean, we traveled on our motorcycle, my wife and I, we traveled on our motorcycle a lot, okay? We traveled everywhere on it. And, you know, she lived in a small town. There wasn't a lot of opportunities there to buy food and things like that. We would travel to other areas to buy food, and sometimes we'd have to travel for a couple hours to buy things we wanted. And we'd go and see the sights and do different things. So we probably drove, I probably rode that motorcycle on an average at least 5 to 6 days a week. We were on that motorcycle going somewhere. And I'm not exaggerating, probably 80 to 85% of the time when we'd be on that motorcycle, at least one time when we were on that motorcycle, someone would do something that if I wasn't paying attention, we would have gotten either seriously hurt or killed because of somebody else's stupidity, because they don't know how to drive over there. And there's no shoulders. And a lot of times, if you're driving in like one of these roads like this through the mountain, there's no freaking guardrail, buddy. If you lose control of that bike, if someone stops in front of you or slams on their brakes in front of you and you got to dodge, you're going off a cliff, man. I mean, it's like 100 feet straight down. Okay, I'm serious. There's no protection for anything there. You got to be very, very careful. If you're on those winding roads, you got to have one hand on the gas and one hand on the brake, and you got to be focused, man. I'm telling you, because literally, there was dozens and dozens of times, and I've ridden my whole, I mean, I started riding when I'm 62 years old. I started riding when I was like 8 years old, so I've ridden my whole life. I'm very good on a motorcycle. And fortunately at my age, I'm in really good health. I'm a little bit chubby here, but not too bad, but my reflexes are still very good. You better have good reflexes if you're going to ride a motorcycle over there, man, because you're going to need them, I promise you. So, yeah, that's that's something you guys need to know. Gasoline over there is not bad. You can fill up. The little motorcycle I had was like 115 cc's. It was a small one. They have big ones that are like 600, 800 cc's, but they're really expensive, and I wasn't going to pay that kind of money for something I knew I was going to eventually sell. I mean, those little motorcycles that I got, most of the time you can't go over 25, 30 miles an hour anyhow. So really, there's no point getting a big motorcycle unless you just want one, or you plan on doing, spending all your time on a motorcycle. The little bike that we were on, I got what's called a top box, which you buy a rack and you put it behind the seat, and you put this big plastic box on there, and it's weatherproof. And you can put stuff inside that and seal it up. We put clothes in there whenever we travel, and then we would take a backpack, and I got a weatherproof backpack, and I kept raincoats in it because, like I said, it rains every day. If you're on a motorcycle, you're most likely going to get caught in the rain if you're driving very far. So I had rain suits for both of us, and we would strap that backpack onto the top of the top box with bungee cords. And over there they call them, I think, suitcase tie downs or something like that. And you can buy them at the local motorcycle shop. Every town's got a motorcycle shop, and they have a, what do they call that? Dadgummit. What's it called when you fix a motorcycle, when you fix a tire? Dadgummit, it's right on the tip of my tongue. When you like repair a tire that's not repairable, and you use that vulcanizing. They call it a vulcanizer. Okay, there's vulcanizers everywhere, and vulcanizers are people who work on motorcycles. They fix motorcycles. They'll fix you a tire if you got a flat tire. They'll mount your tires for you. I will tell you this: if you need motorcycle tires, don't buy them from the motorcycle shop. Buy them online on Amazon or Temu or somebody like that. Have them shipped to your house. They're half the price, and you can take it to a motorcycle shop and they'll still mount it for you for a couple hundred pesos. That'll save you some money. But we bought those, they call them suitcase straps or suitcase tie downs or whatever. We bought those and we'd strap the backpack on top of the top box, and then the motorcycle, it's got like a pretty wide area in the front, so you can set a bag in between your legs while you're driving. And so I would take another bag and put it between my legs, and just kind of hold it with my legs while we're driving it. If I went to put my foot down because we had to stop, I would just kind of lean a little bit one way so the bag wouldn't fall out when I put my foot down. So you can get a lot of stuff on a motorcycle. But like I said, most of the time, we couldn't go over 30, 40 miles an hour anyhow. I think the fastest I ever had that thing, there was a couple straight areas where when we would travel, there was a couple roads that we went on that had like about a 2 or 3, maybe a 5 kilometer stretch that was a straight road. And I would floor that thing, and I'd get up to 80 kilometers an hour, which is like, I want to say 36, 37, 38 miles an hour. Not very fast. But, like I said, 4 or 5 kilometers down the road, it turns back into this, and this. So you're not going to go fast anyhow. So there's really no point in buying a big motorcycle. That little 110cc, it hauled me, her, and probably 20 or 30 pounds worth of luggage, and it was fine. One thing I did do with it was I took the stock exhaust off of it and I put open exhaust on it, because when you're going up a hill, it didn't have any power and it would slow. I'd have to downshift all the way down to like second gear, first gear to go up a hill. After I put the straight pipe on, it had a muffler on it, but it was a straight through muffler. It would climb those hills no problem at all. Gave it plenty of extra power. I kept getting pulled over at the police checkpoints. They would tell me it was too loud, so I went to the grocery store, and they have these like Brillo pads, these metal Brillo pads that you use to wash dishes with. They don't have soap in them. They're just a metal, like it's almost like an SOS pad, but it's a lot coarser metal, and they use them to scrub pans over there with. I bought a whole box of those, and I bought some screws, and I drilled holes in the muffler on the back side of it, and I ran those screws through there, and I stuffed that whole pipe full of those Brillo pads, and I ran those screws in there to hold them, keep it from blowing out the back, and it quieted that thing down. And from that point on, I never got bothered anymore by the police about the noise. And it still had plenty of power. It had way more power to it. Still a straight through muffler. It just wasn't, as because the mufflers on them little 110 bikes, they got a pipe that's like as big around as my finger, tiny little pipe. So if you buy an aftermarket pipe, it's a bigger pipe. Plus the muffler is like this big around. So even if you stuff it with Brillo pads, it's still going to have plenty of exhaust flow, and you can go up the hills a lot faster. So if you're going to buy one of those motorcycles, you're going to be over there a long time, and you want to have more power, go buy you an aftermarket pipe, buy it on. I bought mine off of, I think, Temu or Amazon, had it shipped to her address. I put it on myself with a few wrenches. Took me a couple hours. And like I said, I stuffed all those Brillo pads in there. You buy those at the grocery store for like a nickel or a dime a piece. They're dirt cheap. You buy a whole box of them for like $1. Not even that much, probably 50 cents. And a few screws, just drill some holes in it, put stuff in a full of Brillo pad, make really long screws, screw the screws in, put a nut on them so the screw's sticking down inside the pipe, at different angles, and it keeps it from blowing out the back. And matter of fact, they're riding my motorcycle now, doing this harvesting these piezo machines, and it's still got those Brillo pads. When it started up, I heard it when they started up today. It still had that same sound I had when I was there 8 months ago, riding it, and those Brillo pads are still in there. They're still working. So, if I have to, I can take the screws out, pull them out of there, blow them out of there, start it up, blow them out of there, and put fresh ones in, and I'll be fine. You're good to go when I get back. When I get back there, I got to do maintenance on it. I got to change the oil. I got to check the tires. I got to do, maybe put a new spark plug in it and all that. I'll do that when I get there. But, I'm a mechanic, so it's not a big deal to me. Anything else I can tell you about traveling there? Flying. When I had to leave to come back here in March of last year, we were supposed to take, that's another thing. We were supposed to take a boat from her island over to Cebu so I could catch my plane. You always want, this is important, you always want to make sure if you're not on the island you need to be on to leave the Philippines, you got to take a boat across there. You need to make sure you schedule your trip 3 or 4 days in advance of the day you're supposed to fly out. and go book a motel room or a condo that's like a 5-minute drive from the airport. And the reason for that is because they have boats that run back and forth daily between these islands, but these boats, they run. Sometimes they'll run 50, 60 kilometers or 100 kilometers between these islands, maybe even further than that. So they have to maintain these boats. And when we went to leave to go to Cebu, luckily I booked our hotel room like a week before my flight left because I wanted to go there and spend another week there. I think we were there 7 or 8 days. But I'd already paid for the condo, and we went down that morning. Don't buy your ticket in advance because you're going to waste your money. Just go that day to the dock and buy your ticket that day. Anytime you're traveling by boat in the Philippines, don't buy your ticket online. I did that one time, and it was a huge mistake. They screwed it up. They screwed up my times, and I had to try to get a hold of these guys. And I think if I remember right, I ended up not even being able to use the ticket, and they only gave me a partial refund. Ended up having to go to the dock and buy tickets anyhow. So don't buy tickets online. Just go to the dock the day you're going to travel and buy them that day. And another reason for that is because when we went there that day to leave, they said, "Well, we're sorry, the boat is down for maintenance. We can't. We're not traveling. We're not running today." And on the island she lived on, there was one boat a day that went across to the Cebu. One boat. So we either had to wait till the next day or travel 30 miles to another town and try to catch that boat in the afternoon to go across the Cebu. And I said, you know what? By the time I pay, I can't remember what they're called. They got like these big buses or vans that hold 20 or 30 people, and they travel between towns. By the time I pay them 2,000 or 3,000 pesos for both of us, plus our luggage to go to the other town, then I pay 1,500. I think it's 1,500 pesos each for each of us to go from her island to Cebu Island. By the time I pay all that, I got a hold of the airport. I got online. I looked at the airport in Tacloban, and for her and me to fly from Tacloban to Cebu, it's literally like a 1-hour flight. You go up, you level out, and you go right back down again. It's a very short flight. It was like $100, maybe $110 each. Okay, which of course is a lot more money than a boat ride and a jeepney ride or whatever you want to call it. But we were there that day. We got there that night. We didn't get there. I wanted to get there in the morning. We didn't get there till that evening, but we still got there. We got to enjoy our whole time there. The only thing we missed was part of that one day. So if you want to fly within the Philippines itself, it's actually very cheap to fly. So if you're wanting to go from one island to another, one option you may want to do is may want to check and see if there's an airport on the island you're on and an airport on the island you're going to, and check on flights and see how much they cost. Because a boat ride from her island to Cebu Island, a boat ride, even on the fast boat, is like a 4.5 hour ride. On a slow boat, it's like 8 or 9 hours. So if you don't mind paying the extra money and you want to be there in an hour, take an airplane. It's a lot quicker. But anyhow, then we had to get a ride from her hometown to Tacloban, which cost like 600 pesos for each one of us. It was like 1,200 pesos to get there. But at that point, I didn't care. I just wanted to get to Cebu. And when I asked them, they said the boat's down. We're not going to travel. I said, well, when are you gonna make your next trip? They said, we don't know. Their answer was, and it's always the same answer. We don't know. It could be a day. If something's broken and they got to buy parts, it may be a month before they get the freaking stuff. Who knows? If it's that long, they're probably going to bring another boat over there and resume travel in a couple days. But I didn't want to wait 2 or 3 days and find out. So I just decided to just take the airplane. That is a lot easier for me. This video is probably long enough. I'll think of some more stuff. But I'm just trying to think of things that's going to help you guys. Next time I get out here, I was going to talk about things I like about Irish, but I'll talk about that later. This is long enough. So that's kind of some tips as far as traveling from the U.S. to there. And once you get there, things to look for, things to be careful of, things to be cautious about, what you want to do to prepare yourself before you go. I will say this, one last thing. People over there in the Philippines, they love chocolate. So if you want to impress your girl and her family, go to the store, buy a bunch of those great big, huge king size chocolate bars, and like the Hershey's regular chocolate, Hershey's with peanuts, Hershey's dark chocolate, Mr. Good bar, Crackle, whatever you like. Buy those great big king size ones. When I went over last year, I took 32 of those bars. Again, I had like a stack like this tall of those bars. And I was handing them out to everybody in their family just to try to impress them. Everybody over there loves American chocolate. I know it's not the best chocolate in the world, but to them it's the best chocolate in the world because Filipino chocolate isn't that good. Now they do sell American candy bars in the Philippines, but they're very expensive. The Filipino chocolate is very cheap. It's not nearly as good. So I was handing, ho ho ho, or ha ha, funny, being funny. But anyhow, they were candy, and everybody loved it. So if you're going to go over there and you want to impress your family, take a bunch of chocolate over there and hand them out to the kids, hand them out to the parents, hand them out to the brothers and sisters, whatever, and they'll love you. Just another tip for you. All right, guys, I think that's about enough. One other thing I will say, you should take over a bag of Ricola throat lozenges, because if you get sick, the stuff they got over there to soothe the throat tastes like crap. I mean, it's horrible. It tastes like you're drinking a bottle of Vicks. It's disgusting. So take some Ricolas over there with you too for that. And one other thing, just real quick. If you get sick, like for instance, I went swimming like 3 or 4 times. I went swimming in the ocean while I was there. Every single time I went swimming, I got an ear infection because the water over there, unfortunately, there's a lot of pollution in there. People just literally throw their trash in the water, and I got an ear infection every single time. If you go to the big name pharmacies, they want you to go to the doctor and get a prescription. But if you go to the little mom and pop pharmacies and the little Siri stores that are along the side of the road or in the part of town that's kind of run down a little bit, they'll give you whatever you want, man. They won't give you narcotics, but they gave me antibiotics, amoxicillin. They gave it to me, just handed it to me. I mean, I had to pay for it, obviously, but it was like, I want to say $1.80 or $1 a pill. It was nothing that expensive. And I bought a whole bunch of them, brought it home with me, because here you got to have a prescription to get amoxicillin. So when you're over there, it's a good idea to buy some amoxicillin, go to the little store and buy some amoxicillin, keep it with you. That way if you get a cut or you get an infection or, whatever, if you get whatever going on, you can take some amoxicillin and you're good to go. So just another tip for you guys. All right, guys, that's enough. I'm sure I'll think of more stuff later, but this is long enough. I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm going to make other videos with her pretty soon. And when I get over there, we'll make videos together. She's not on here right now, and I'll talk about that later, why she's not on here. That's kind of the bad side of her. But it's something you got to work through with every girl. You're just going to get used to it. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good evening, and stay tuned for the next video. We're going to start making a lot of videos when I get over there. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.